Hola, I'm Jar, and I grew up in the 90s. Back then, there were no digital cameras, and I remember being amazed by Polaroids. Like, can you imagine taking a picture and seeing it right away? But they were out of our league back in Brazil, so for me, they always felt like a distant dream. Well, not anymore. I wasn't planning on getting a new camera anytime soon, especially not an analog, photo-only instant one. But on our trip to Paris, I saw this petit bébé in person, and since it's the cutest thing ever, I had to buy it.
My god, look at the size of this thing.
Also worth mentioning that this video is not sponsored by Polaroid. I bought this camera with my own money and all opinions are my own. The Polaroid Go doesn't need batteries, it charges via USB. So while it charged, I watched a few tutorials from Ben at In an Instant and made the prettiest notebook entry with notes from shooting on the go. Camera charged, notes taken, time for a test shot. I added a light to help, but it was too far away. Still, I like the result. I think it looks great for an indoor instant photo with no flash and a bit of backlit. Time to go out and play outside. In this video, I'll take you along my first day with the Polaroid Go, wandering around Jordaan, one of the cutest neighborhoods in Amsterdam, with my mom and my auntie. Fun fact, last month I went to a talk about the rebirth of analog, and one of the speakers was the creative director at Polaroid. That's where I learned that Polaroid started in the US but is now a Dutch company, so how fitting it is to shoot my first roll right here in the Netherlands. Here's the first real shot, a passing boat. I totally messed the composition, but it made me realize something. The shutter isn't great for moving subjects, lots of motion blur, and although the sun was not hitting it, it was bright out. I'll try it again in full light someday, but for now, I'll stick with more stationary subjects. I was especially curious about the double exposure feature, and I wanted to try right away. I found these cute flowers on a staircase, and I thought that it'd be perfect for a portrait blend as the ladies were blown away by all the flowers on the streets, so it felt like a good theme. The result? Not in love with it, but it's okay. I like how the flower color blends with my mom's outfit, but her face landed in the brightest part of the first exposure, so you can barely see it. And also, it's not the best composition, as the door in the background is awkwardly framed. Still, the double exposure feature is super cool. I think it just needs more planning and of course, a better photographer. More on that later. Here's a more normal photo of my auntie on the street with flash, which I think it turned out great. She loved it. Later, at the bar, I took a swing at an indoor picture using flash with my mom. She's well lit and you can still see the sunny street through the window. Mom approved.
Mas é linda, até a textura aqui, ó, é linda.
I tried double exposure again, this time with my auntie. Lesson learned from the previous one, I remember to place the flowers lower in the frame so I can place her face in the darker grassy part. Smart, right? Except I forgot my own notes from earlier and to turn the flash off, so it's overexposed. The composition was almost perfect. That one stings. It would be great if it wasn't overexposed. On our way to another bar, I saw this bridge over a canal and it looked beautiful in person. Backlit with some boats passing by, it looked a little dreamy and with the bikes in front, it screamed Amsterdam. So I decided to take a shot, but I don't think this camera is made for wide scenic shots. Although the small format is one of my favorite features, this photo size just doesn't capture all the detail. Or maybe again, you know, the problem might be behind the camera. Then I saw a sunlit bridge and I decided to try a selfie, the last shot of that roll, and honestly, it might be my favorite. We had full sun, the flash was on and we were close to camera, and the colors and contrast are spot on. Which brings me to my general impression so far. The photos lack a bit of contrast. I would love darker blacks and richer colors, but I get that it adds to a vintage, dreamy quality to the pictures. The bridge selfie though? Perfect, exactly the way I like them to be. Maybe the lesson here is, the more light, the better the picture. Alright, one more roll because I'm having fun and we're not done with Jordaan. Next up, time to try the self-timer. It's a great feature, but I really wish the camera had a thread so we can attach it to a tripod. It's hard to frame a shot when you're balancing it on a bag while on all fours on the floor. It was kind of amusing to some passerby though. Free street entertainment.
Eu vi piscando, aí eu pensei que quando parou de piscar, tirou, mas teve um flash.
de lado.
Droga.
The photo turned out cute, just a little too far away. I was still obsessed with double exposure and I wanted to try more. This time I decided to give the camera to mom so she could have fun taking the second shot. First, I found this beautiful street with the big Westerkirk Tower in the background.
Alguém vai tirar uma foto minha e vai dar certo.
I like how it turned out, but I didn't choose the best spot for the second exposure. On the second try, I take the same first exposure and we layer some lines from a gate, which made a cool texture. But I can learn my lessons and my face was placed in the sky, the brightest part, so it's totally gone. Let's try a canal shot. Planning to place the ladies on either side of the darkest part of the water as the sun was reflecting in the middle. Almost worked, but the door I've placed them against had too many details and the canal from the first exposure just vanished. I also placed the ladies too low, trying to avoid losing their faces in the bright sky. So, I gave up on double exposure for now. I learned a ton and it was so fun trying to figure it out, but I only brought 2 rolls and I wanted to take more pictures. I also, like the stubborn person I am, gave moving subjects another try, both in the same canal. It's still blurry, it's still bad light, it's still me not being able to learn my own lessons. Another thing I wanted to try was to compare 2 versions of the same shot, one with flash, one without it, as we can disable it in this camera. The sun was coming from the side and the results were interesting. The no flash version gives a more silhouette and moody vibes. The flash version adds detail to the faces, of course, but what was interesting to me was the pops in the colors, even in the background. I like them both. And finally, we ended the day at a bar with tables on a boat in the canal overlooking the Westerkirk. I decided to use the last picture as a self-timed photo of the 3 of us to remember that day. It is cute, just a bit too far and I could be framed a little higher so we don't have too much legs in the frame and see more of the canal. Again, a tripod thread would have been awesome. Okay, time for some final thoughts. Polaroid is just so cool. This camera, right next to my OP1, might be the most beautiful and cutest object I own. You saw, people on the street stopped to look at it, which I like to think was about me. But let's be honest, it's probably the camera. It's small, easy to carry, and its charm is hard to ignore. The photos aren't the sharpest, but I love the tiny frame and that squarish formats. It means I don't have to choose between landscape or portrait. You do have to be mindful though. With such a small frame, it's easy to lose detail or something important. Still, the limitation kind of adds to the fun. Of course, we all have smartphones and digital cameras that show us our shots instantly, but there's something different about seeing a developed instant photo. The whole process of shooting, waiting, revealing makes you more present and thoughtful. It turns simple moments into something a little more special. I really like the extra features like the double exposure and self-timer. I just wish it had a tripod thread, but I'll figure something out. As for the image quality, yes, it's imperfect, but that's part of the appeal. You need to think a little bit more. And even when things go wrong, like my double exposures, it's still fun to try and figure it out. So yeah, I love it and I'm beyond happy with my petit bébé. I can't wait to bring it with me more often, learn as I go, and capture more moments with it. Until then, thanks for watching and I'll see you in the next video. Um cheiro. Bye bye.
Pokémon Pikachu.
Sou fina você.
Eu sou fina, sempre fui. Afinérrima.
Aonde? Fina de quê? Eu quero ver os boletos chegando.